Done about quarter to 10 to.
Welcome to the Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
What is going on, Lock Shoppers? Welcome to a massive NFL edition of the Lock Shop. Huss here with JBM and P. Greggy, the big guy celebrating Christmas today, and then off to the Spengler, where we're still waiting for our futures pick from the guy calling the games. With the EST being off tomorrow, today we're going to bang out the big one. We'll hit Thursday Night Football right away, and then we'll get into our best bets of the week, crank out a parlay or two, and get them up in the exclusives and get set up for what should be a crazy weekend. Best of the season to you fellas. Jake, Patty, what's going on?
Well, doing well here. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you as well. I'm fired up. This holiday slate that the NFL cooked up is just phenomenal. And I'm sorry for all the big NBA fans. Like, Christmas used to sorry for
NBA?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, they have games? What? Because the NFL has completely taken hostage of the Christmas season now. We've got, a game tonight, few games on Saturday. We've got a couple games, a big slate on Sunday on Christmas Eve. And then we're even treated to 3 games on Christmas Day. Like, this slate is awesome. A lot of great games, a lot of games that have a lot of playoff implications. So I'm all sorts of fired up. I know it's supposed to be about family, good tidings, and cheer. I'm talking to family real quick and then putting on the game, and that's it. Who am I kidding? My family's a big sports fan. We're going to be all cuddled around the TV. Instead of watching Elf and Rudolph this year, we're going to be watching Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, Jake, rarely am I envious of you guys in the Eastern time zone when it comes to watching sports. I mean, anything on the West Coast is starting so late. However, on Christmas night, like the main event of this entire weekend, in a game that's going to determine literally millions, maybe billions of dollars of fantasy football entries, we're finishing off with the Ravens and the Niners. And 8:15, you probably in the Eastern time zone, you have a little bit more of a chance of maybe negotiating your way past the dinner and everything you have to do to get ready to watch what is going to be a hell of a way to finish off this week.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to tell my mom, I'm going to say, listen, we're going to need an early dinner this year. We got an 8:20 football game. It's going to be a banger. I won't tell her how much I'm putting on the game, but yeah, it'll be it'll be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, it should be a big weekend here. Like Patty said, huge NFL. I've been active in the chat all week, talking with the nasty chatters. We've been going back and forth, and I'm happy to be on the show today so we can talk some NFL.
Well, let's get right into it. Although we won't bury the lead. The Winnipeg Jets are an absolute wagon, continue to roll. WSTers, make sure to join us coming up at 1. The hottest player in the National Hockey League, Gabriel Velarde, is going to join me on the program.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he is the gift that keeps on giving right now. We play the Macarena every night at Winnipeg at Canada Life Center when he scores. He's gone on this stretch from plus 300 to score. Last night, he was plus 205. That's going to start with a 1 tomorrow, I'm sure, against the Boston Bruins. But the Jets are crushing right now. And the Velarde shot prop, by the way, at over 2.5 has been free money ever since he got on the Scheifele and Ehlers line. So remember that tomorrow when the lines come out for Boston and Winnipeg, everybody.
So, yeah, kudos to the Macarena, man. I've been riding those props and just the Jets in general. From one of the hottest teams in the NHL to the other one, the Toronto Maple Leafs. They've got the Sabres tonight before we get an NFL. They're in Buffalo. That place is going to have more Leaf fans than Sabres fans. It's going to be rocking. I'm not taking a side because the Leafs tend to, crap the bed when they go down to the 7-1-6. But one thing that's automatic is the over. These two teams forget about defense. It's an offensive onslaughter. 7-1-2 to the over in the last 10 times these two teams have met. So the QEW rivalry is hot. It's heavy. Don't know who's going to win, but I do know both teams are going to just absolutely pepper the cage. So take the over.
Well, considering Buffalo just gave up a 9 spot to Columbus earlier this week, defensively and goaltending wise, things aren't going well. And to Pat's point, the total is 7 in that game. Over 7's at +108. If you want to get it at 6.5, the over is -143. So you might have to hold your nose. Just go for a huge one and take the plus money on over 7. It's a huge slate in the game tonight. And Lock Shoppers, if you want to throw in some of your thoughts in the chat, do so. Massive game for the Oilers tonight. I mean, they're after that 8-game heater. They've lost 3 in a row. They dropped that game to the Islanders to begin this big pregame Christmas run with 3 and 4. And they got the Devils tonight. And this one's basically a pick 'em. Oilers are -109. Devils are -108. And considering the Oilers have to play on the second end of back-to-backs tomorrow night against the Rangers, I believe this is one they absolutely have to have. I'm tempted to jump on Edmonton right now because I think that they are going to be – we've talked a lot about the narratives of teams that are desperate. Jersey should be in that same boat for that matter.
Yeah.
I mean, they have not been playing particularly well. Lost a couple times. They had that ugly home loss to Anaheim. But you just have to think after Connor McDavid was quiet against the Islanders, that won't be the case tonight. So kind of do like Edmonton in that game, although I think they're really going to have their hands full tomorrow against the New York Rangers.
And if you follow Frank the Tank on social media, you'd think that the Jersey Devils were, 0-35 right now. But again, I kind of like that spot. Although I think, for me, this one, it's just two really, really desperate hockey teams going toe to toe. But before, I don't know if there's anything else on NHL. I just wanted to quickly run through the Coolbet daily exclusives because we got a lot for tonight in the NHL. Home for the holidays, it's back with the Avs, the Stars, and the Panthers. That's +345. Blue line Blitzen, Morgan Riley, Evan Bouchard, Quinn Hughes, all to record 1 point, +350. Candy Kane, Evander Kane to score 1 goal, Oilers to win, +355. It's an East Coast Kitchen Christmas party. Sidney Crosby, Nathan McKinnon, both to score, +390. The naughty list, which has been a favorite. I think it cashed last night, Jake, if I'm not mistaken.
I was on it. Thank you for the naughty list.
This one, though, a little bit bigger of names, but hey, let's go with it. Austin Matthews, Brady Tkachuk, and Nikita Kucherov, all not to score, +400. The 3 Wisemen, Austin Matthews to score, Connor McDavid, 2 points, and Alex Ovechkin, 1 point. I really like this one, +530. And then all I want for Christmas is Hughes. Jack Hughes, 1 goal. Luke Hughes, 1 point. And Quinn Hughes, 1 assist at +650. I love that one as well. So you hit the Coolbet tab, the exclusive tab. You'll see our parlays that we're going to have up in a little bit here. Got the NHL, the NFL daily exclusive, some multi-sport exclusives. And then, of course, if you weren't listening yesterday, Dusty made all his picks. And he's got his ride with Dusty up there, +800 on that one as well.
Yeah, you got it. The exclusives were nice last night. And that damn home for the holidays, Jets did their part, Washington did their part. And then the LA Kings lose to the Kraken at home. Thank God McCann didn't score because we did get the naughty list done. But listen, you if anyone has seen PLD, please return him to the Los Angeles Kings. 1 point in the last 10 games. Well, listen, we could talk about that around here for a long time. It is a popular topic. There's nothing more fun after Kings games than just searching Dubois and PLD, especially when Velarde's got 10 points in his last 4 games.
Oh, yeah.
Going over in the trade.
Maybe he's home for the holidays. Maybe he's actually not playing at all. But you've been dancing on his grave. I love it. Take your shots.
At one point in that game, I think the shots were 17-2 Kings
They
in
were.
a 0-0 game. I had the Kings money line to close the parlay as well with my buddies. I think it was 17-2. They ended with like 30, whatever, 8 or 43 shots, something stupid. And couldn't get it done against the Kraken. The Cord, man, the guy's been really good lately. Actually, if you check his stats fantasy wise, I know he's been buzzing. So
the Cord was unbelievable, and our old pal, the psycho himself, Brandon Tana, breaking a long goalless drought, getting the goal. So, but hey, the naughty list bailed us out last night. Let's get to it, and we got to focus in on football. Before we get to weekend picks, guys, let's get to this Saints-Rams game tonight. 7-7 versus 7-7. The Rams are 4-point home favorites playing at SoFi against the Saints. I don't believe in the Saints at all. I'm just going to say straight up. This is a team. I mean, we were on them last week, and I thought they were a good pick against a not-so-good Giants team playing at home at the Dome. To me, I mean, I think that the Rams are clearly the better team, and they've got some momentum, Pat, coming on. I mean, to be honest, they should have beaten the Ravens 2 weeks ago, but they got their big win last week. They control their own destiny. That destiny has to include a win tonight. There's a lot of Cooper Kupp owners that are needing a big game for fantasy playoffs tonight. I think they get it. I like Cooper Kupp to score a touchdown tonight. I'll probably be over on most of the Kupp props. But as far as the game goes, any concerns with laying the 4 on the Rams at home against New Orleans?
Besides me hating the non-football numbers like a 4, but again, like I think this team's better than 7 points against a really disappointing Saints team. But like you look at them, they both have the same record. But I think the Rams are. I agree, they're a way better team than 7-7. They're a team that I think in their conference, a lot of teams do not want to play them if they get in the playoffs, and because I think they could seriously make some noise. Can they get back to the Super Bowl? Absolutely not. They're not the same team that they once were, but they've got a great coach. They've got a quarterback that clearly can win. And I'll be honest, I know Dusty's not here. He might be listening. I need Stafford versus the Lions in the playoffs. Like I need it like a fish needs water, fellas. That would be so good. But I feel like every time I come on this program here, I don't pick a side and I just like nuke the board with props. I'm going with a side here. I'm going Rams -4. I kind of even like the over because say what you will about the Saints. Their offense has started to pick it up a little bit more as of late. And it just seems that, these two teams, I could see it being a lot of points, but my best bet certainly when it comes to a side or a total, I'm going Rams -4.
Jake, what about you?
Yeah, I might be taking the Patty route tonight and just ripping some props, to be honest with you. I'm just not sure. Like, I know the Rams are a better team. We were on, like you said, we were on the Saints last week. I really liked that spot for them. I like the way the number was shaping up, and they took care of business against the Giants. But, yeah, I don't know. The way the numbers move, I think it was 4.5 at one point yesterday. Now it's come down to 4. I'm just curious as to, like, what the love for the Saints would be at this point of the season. I know both teams are 7-7. I know the Saints are kind of still in that race for the division, but really there's no team in that division that I'd be scared of going into the playoffs, even if you got to go into their building. It doesn't seem like a big concern. I'm with you guys. I'm totally fine to take the Rams. I just the movement itself is what concerns me a little bit when it comes to the spread is all. That's all I'll say.
Well, and actually, to be honest right now, I mean, if you don't like the 4, 3.5 is only -112 right now. So I think that if we're going to put together a little 3, a game parlay about this one tonight, obviously we need to take it off an even number anyways in the exclusives. So maybe we take that to 3.5. I'm all in on Cooper Kupp over 71.5 yards. He is the guy for the Rams. If you guys are good on that, we can throw him in. It's +120 over 71.5. Is there another prop that we like from either the Rams or the Saints if we want to put in Rams -3, Kupp over yards, and another prop to get 3 in there?
Jake, if you want to hop in here, I just got to pull something up. I'm looking for something.
I'm just peeking around. I mean, Kyron Williams rusher, it's 91.5. My goodness,
it's crazy.
That is a crazy number. I mean, the Saints rush D has been their weakness in terms of defense. Their pass defense has actually been quite solid in just terms of yards per game. But I don't like that number. That's quite high. Usually when numbers are that high, though, they get pretty darn close. Maybe if we want to stick with Williams, I don't mind him touchdown scorer. I mean, that's pretty juicy, but he's a touchdown machine. I know Patty's liked him to score a touchdown. I think he got you one week, Patty, the week you had him to score. I think that was the one week he didn't score. But, if we're kind of looking, I mean, I guess that's an all Rams kind of bias. Maybe we do kind of shift to try to get a Saints player in there just to get a little mix going. But I don't know. What do you think, Patty? Anything you find that's sticking out to you at the moment?
Well, I've got my Patty's primetime parlay up, so I won't take any of the plays from there. And I know this is pretty high for a running back, but Alvin Kamara over 51.5, or is that his rushing yards? Where is his receiving yards? 33.5 minus 125. Like that even better. I mean, it seems like Kamara just cashes this total almost every single time. I think he had like minus 11 a couple weeks ago, but looking at his game log actually right here, we'll start back. We'll start for last week. 44 minus 11, 58, 50, 33. He's such a big part of this offense. And I think that when you look at what the Chargers can do defensively with that ferocious rush, they like to get to the quarterback. They lead the league. They don't lead the league, but the Rams are up there when it comes to sacks. I think a little bit of dipping and dunking is going to go a long way here. I really do. I think that's certainly a play. Like, look, it's when I run down those numbers, why is it only 33? I know the one outlier of minus 11, but he's hit this. I'm looking back. The last time he didn't hit this besides that 1 week was week 2, or I guess his week 2, because he missed the first few games. His second game of the year where he only had 17 receiving yards. So this seems like a no-brainer for me.
Well, look, his receptions number, I was just looking at it because that's originally where I wanted to go, and I didn't like the 4.5, but they got him 4.5 over at minus 120. So if you assume he's catching 5 passes, I'm totally on board to get the yards there at 33.5. So I mean, we know he's going to get the targets, and he might not clear the 5 receptions, but even if he gets 4 receptions, I think I'd be more on board, for that receiving number, the receiving yards number, like you said, at 33.5 there. So yeah, I can get on board with that.
Good news. Just looking at the chat. I think he's frozen.
I think he's muted. You're muted.
Oh, he's muted.
Sorry, the boys are in on the chat on this one.
Oh yeah, Rod Z, the hot hand Rod Z. Yeah. He's all in on it. So I think we have no choice but to go with this, fellas.
Okay, perfect. And I mean, listen, I think that the game script, if we are correct and we like the Rams and the Rams to be up later, we see the Saints do it all the time. At the end of the game when you can kind of play, you don't need to give up a touchdown, dump offs to Kamara. We don't have it early. We could get it late, similar to the lock shot miracle that happened on Monday Night Football. What an event that was. All right, so let's lock this in. Rams minus 3.5. Cooper Kupp over 71.5 receiving, and Kamara over 33.5 receiving. We'll get that in for a lock shot play in the exclusives for tonight's game, which brings us to the slate for Christmas weekend. It starts off on the 23rd. We've got the Bengals and Steelers going at it. Mason Rudolph announces the starting quarterback today for Pittsburgh. And then we got Bills and Chargers as well. The Bills number is now at 12. Those 2 games on the Saturday. Christmas Eve, 3 games. Indy at Atlanta. Atlanta is -1 right now. Dusty's already on the Colts and has begged us to put that in the partner parlay. Feeling good about that. Cleveland's now up to 3-point favorites in Houston. Looks like Case Keenum's going to be going again for the Texans. And the Lions are laying 3 in the Dome against the Minnesota Vikings. Yes, they're still suspended, but they are on Dusty's money line parlay if you want to get in on that. Before we get to the big Christmas Day slate, I mean, early on of those ones, well, just right off the bat, Pat, give me one or two of your favorite picks. Jake will do one or two of your faves. I'll kind of throw out my four, and then we can put our heads together.
Okay.
Yeah, if we're looking at some of the precursors here, I think, I mean, why not look with the team that I follow the most in the Buffalo Bills? Again, that number is way too big when you look at the fact that, again, you could probably say like, hey, there's a good chance that you don't see a letdown game or a look ahead spot when you're battling for your playoff lives. But with that being said, maybe you get the new coach, the interim coach bump. Brandon Staley, he got fired last week. But where I'm looking for this one is the over. The Bills' offense is back to life. They look great. James Cook, let him cook. Let Jimmy Cook cook. When they run the ball, Josh Allen, I mean, he said it himself. Felt like a kid in school where he didn't do anything on the project and still got an A. But I do think that when you look at what they've been able to do, I don't think the Chargers really are going to get that much better defensively. Sure, they're not going to give up 70 points like they did the Raiders, but that terrible Raiders offense could embarrass them that bad. Is changing the coach in 1 week really going to make that much of a difference? Bills are playing for the playoff lives here. The one thing is, like, can the Chargers score enough against the Bills? That's like, the only
38-3.
Of course, and then I'll look like a dummy here. But the one thing with the Bills, we even saw it against against the Cowboys. They had no problem taking the foot off the gas, taking starters out on both sides of the ball, and you saw the Cowboys scored a garbage time touchdown when a lot of the backups were in for the Bills. They're more focused, big picture here. So I think the Bills are going to just really pour it on, dial it back, and then that's where I can see maybe the Chargers score a couple of in garbage time. So I like the over. Heck, I could see the Bills even putting up 40 themselves. So that's probably my best bet when it comes to either the Christmas or the New Year's Eve games. Jake, I'll let you pop in here with another one before I throw another one out.
Yeah, sorry, I was looking for a stat. There was a great stat in terms of to support the Chargers. It was like a crazy number when teams lose by like whatever they lost by last week.
100,
but I couldn't find it. So yeah, whatever it was, it was like, oh, the week following they've covered the spread like 80% of the time. I just don't know if I can get on board with Easton Stick. I mean, I just don't know where you find points as a Chargers team. Anyway, sorry. One, and I don't know, it's kind of pack it in season, right? We got 3 weeks left. A lot of these teams, well, not a lot of these teams, but a bunch of these teams are out of the mix. I actually don't mind the Packers at -5. The Panthers coming off a pretty emotional last-second win. I don't think they've actually led in the fourth quarter at any point this season. The 2 wins they had have come on last-second field goals. Pretty short field goals from my recollection. Packers are coming off a brutal loss to the Bucs. The defense looked awful. I was on the Packers last week, and I was really not thrilled with how that one went down. But I think this is a spot for them. They can bounce back, give them this false hope that maybe there is a backdoor way into the playoffs. And I think it's pack it in season for the Panthers. So I can see the Packers winning this one by a touchdown plus and going into Carolina. Not even getting fans at Carolina games. It's not like home field really matters at this point of the season for that team. So
did you see the crowd at that game last week?
Crazy. I think it was 46 cents to get in the door.
And no one took them up on it. I mean, that was that was the worst NFL crowd I think I've ever seen.
That fan base has moved on to college basketball. Like they're not even they're thinking about the Tar Heels, Duke, whatever team they're cheering for in that area of the state. But okay, you guys talked about taking off the Lions. And taking them away. They're indoor cats. They play well inside. but I still think they're fraudulent. They beat a bad team last week. I do not believe in this team whatsoever. They've let me down too many times. And you know what happens? If you let a team off the hook when you're supposed to suspend them, that's when it's going to bite you in the ass. We see our boy Rod Z in the chat. He's laying out a lot of great trends.
I like this one. I like this one from Rod. Vikes 6-0 as a home dog versus the NFC North, and 5-0 straight up versus Detroit at home.
Give me the Vikings +3. I would even take the Vikings on the money line. This is, I know I said the Bills and Chargers over is my best bet. This is my best bet. Dusty, plug your ears. I'm sorry, buddy. But this team needs to prove more to me than just beating up on a really bad football team last week. I'm sorry. It's the Vikings aren't a bad team. The Vikings are not a bad team. Their defense is legit. Of course, quarterback situation hasn't been great, but whoever they've thrown in over the last few weeks has been good enough. So I love this here. Give me the Vikings.
They're playing
points.
Playing for their lives. And if we're putting this into a parlay, we can get this to 3.5, which is a huge half point. I could see this game being very, very close. It probably won't come off 3, even though it's even money for the Vikings right now. You know, to be honest,
it's interesting.
Huss. Like I'm usually a guy that is looking to take points, big points. I'm having a real hard time identifying teams that I'm comfortable taking the points with. Dusty threw out Arizona yesterday. And I actually do like Arizona. I feel that Chicago is a team that's going to blow anybody out? Not really. They did just put up 24 against the Niners last week. So that's a game that I think I certainly wouldn't be taking Chicago. I think if I had to go on a side, I would go with Arizona. I mean, Jake, is there any underdogs right now that you like the points with right now? We just talked about Minnesota, and I think that's a very good target for them. Before I roll out my picks, any underdogs right now that that you're in on? And by the way, I'll throw that to the chat too. Who do you like the points with? You guys let me know.
Well, I'll lay out a couple here, and I won't take too long. I'm interested in this Titans line. Seahawks coming off a super emotional win with Drew Lock, and they're a different team at home than they are on the road. I checked their record. It's substantially different when they got to go somewhere and play football. I'm just not really sold on the Titans. I might be taking the cheese in terms of the Seahawks, but that line to me screams, take the Titans. They want you on the Seahawks, right? So take the Titans, take the points. Titans have screwed me in the past. The one that I do like more than that, and this is selfish because I have a Jags team total preseason bet at 9.5, and I need wins late in the season here. Jacksonville +1 in Tampa Bay. I just like that game last week was pretty awful, I'd say. A lot of dumb mistakes, a lot of silly mistakes. That fumble, that phantom fumble on the way to the end zone there from Lawrence, and it feels like they had so many opportunities to get back in that game against Baltimore and really just could not capitalize. Outside of the big play to Agnew that scored the touchdown, that really just couldn't finish drives. 2 missed field goals, I think. So I think this is a great spot for the Jags. The Bucs are coming off a huge win, like I mentioned before, against Green Bay. I think we could see them sit back here. I think they have control of the division as it stands right now. I think the Jags can go into Tampa. I think they can take care of business and get back on the right track. As we closer to the playoffs here, it's getting tight in both divisions, both conferences. Sorry, and I think the Jags got to take care of business, especially against a team like the Bucs.
Yeah, I'm sort of with you. I mean, they missed those 2 kicks, that phantom fumble by Trevor Lawrence. I mean, that game should have been way closer than it was. Baker looked amazing last week, tearing up the Packers in Lambeau. I am a little concerned though about what happens next for Tampa. Backing up that performance against a Jags team that, has Houston and the Colts right on their necks for the division. It is a fascinating game. It's a 1-point spread. While we're at this, speaking of 1-point spreads, we've got the Colts and the Falcons. And listen, right off the bat, I like the Colts too. I'm a little concerned about Pittman not really being able to play. Dusty really wants that in on the partner parlay or on one of them. So I think we can go by that. There's another 1 point game that was 1.5. It's come down to 1, and that is Dallas at Miami. And interested in your guys' thoughts on this game, just straight up from a money line perspective. Do we like the Dolphins at home, or do the Cowboys get up off the mat after being humiliated by the Bills and actually have a big road performance for the first time this season against a good team?
So before I dive into that, Jacksonville, I hate it. I hate the pick. I hate just everything about it. But this is like, don't listen to your gut, go with your brain. Jacksonville in their last 10 games, 9-1 against the spread. This seems like the perfect, buy low and sell high. Sell high on the Bucs. They're not a good football team. It is what it is. Baker Mayfield's, it's a great story that he's starting to, revitalize his career. The Jags are the better team. I've called them fraudulent before. They are fraudulent in terms of a Super Bowl contender, but they're a better football team than the Bucs. So I agree with you guys there. I hate it, but it is the right play. In terms of this game, you want to talk about frauds. This is the fraud bowl. These are two teams that cannot beat good teams. The Cowboys, for me, it's like, okay, going into Buffalo, rainy, although it wasn't that cold, raucous atmosphere. Going into Miami is not quite like the same as going into a Buffalo or going, visiting the 49ers or going into Arrowhead, whatever it may be. This is a little bit of an easier spot for them, I find, but both of them are getting, when you look at the Cowboys recognize again, they got embarrassed. They got to get off the mat here, and they got to prove that they can win on the road. They got to prove it not to the media, not to their fan base, to themselves. There's got to be deep down inside, Dak Prescott is saying, like, what's going on here? Why can this team not perform? They need to. Whereas if you're the Dolphins, at one point you were in the driver's seat. You are basically can walk away with the division. Now the Bills are nipping at your heels. If you lose this game, if the Bills continue to win, like, that game at the end of the year could be for the division, and it could be an all-time meltdown for this Dolphins team that has been in a really, really dark spot for the last few years and finally feels like they're in a great spot. But I don't know if you've seen this clip on social media, and Mike, like, say what you will about the head coach. He's going through the mistakes, and just hearing him talk to this team with such a different approach. Maybe with McDaniel, like, he's a weird brain. He's a weird guy, but it just feels like he really relates to this team and they really like him. I know I've laid out great points for both sides. So basically what I'm trying to say here, fellas, is I have no freaking clue the way this game goes. I'm staying away from it. Maybe you guys have a better read. I just feel like it's such a big prove-it spot for both teams. I think it's going to be, I don't know if it's, I hope it lives up to the hype. I think maybe it's the over. Is the over the play? I don't even know what the number is, but look at how electric their offenses are. Although we saw the Cowboys on the road, not quite as electric. I just feel like inside Miami, that's not really that big of you're going on the road. Besides the travel and whatnot.
The Cowboy fans will travel well.
Of course.
Something I'm going to ride with the Dolphins in this game because of Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill should be back in, and you know that I'm a big believer in baby swag. Well, he's just had his third kid in 4 months, and if there's anybody. This is just the definition of the baby swag game. So I'm gonna roll with Miami.
What a preposterous sentence.
But let's break this down here. Let's try and if we can do a partner parlay. I've got a 3-gamer already done, a ride with us, a Christmas gift to the lock shop. So let's try and get one for the 24th games. I think probably just the 24th games. Okay. Unless we want, like, I do like, as far as my picks, like my best bets for the week, I'm going to ride with the Bengals -2. in Pittsburgh, completely out on the Steelers. They just lost at home to the Cardinals and the Patriots. They gave up, 30 straight to the Colts. This team is done. Mason Rudolph has not taken them anywhere. And the Bengals believe in Jake Browning. His numbers should be higher, to be honest with you. I will lay the 2 with the Cincinnati Bengals. As I mentioned right off the bat, I like the Colts. The fact that we are all liking the Colts so much does make me nervous. But, I mean, what can you say about Atlanta? They just lost to Carolina, and the Colts are finding ways to win. I like Denver -6 against the Patriots. This home game for Denver, I think they bounce back at home. The holidays there. It's over for New England. Who knows? Maybe we'll see Nathan Rourke. Probably not this week, but moving forward. But I'll be on the Broncos, and I'm definitely on the 49ers for this week to finish it up. I mean, to me, it's just another opportunity for them to show that they're in another class. And I think Baltimore is a heck of a lot closer to the rest of the teams in both conferences than they are to the Niners, because they have the best. They've got a great record, but the Niners, as I said, in another team, in another stratosphere. I have no problem laying the 5 or 4.5 or whatever we want to go. So for a parlay for Saturday, Patty, I'm sort of with you on, and if we can take Minnesota to +3.5, it's -115. We get the hook there. Other options are, and you know what? And if you guys like Denver at 6.5, I don't mind Denver at all. I think they win by a touchdown. As I say, very different team at home, run the football, go from there. Denver's an option. I know you guys didn't really have a strong feeling on either side of Dallas or Miami. Dusty did like the Cardinals, and if we took that to 4.5, I would take the points on that. The other option, we could just go straight up Colts money line, or we could also take the Jags money line. By the way, has just moved.
Yep.
This one went.
So it looks like Mark was saying maybe Lawrence is doubtful. He didn't practice today with concussion, so that is something to keep obviously your eye on. I mean, I'm still liking the Jags, but I don't think for the parlay, I think we keep them out just with the uncertainty of Trevor Lawrence. Right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Dusty did want the Colts, although it is kind of funny because we're going with one of his picks and then directly against him with the Vikings. But
the only thing I'll say about the Colts is I'm all for getting that one in there, but we already have that one in Dusty's parlay. I just worry that you get too many parlays riding on the same bet. It happens to me all the time. Like, you love a bet from the weekend, you're like, oh, I'll put it in this parlay, I'll put it in this parlay, and that's the one that loses, and all your parlays lose. That's the only pushback that I'd have on the Colts. But I know Dusty's really high on it, and I'm totally fine with the Colts as well. I just hate to get in a spot where we're like, we love the Colts, and that's the game that screws all the parlays.
Well, I'm actually with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a feeling on Cleveland to Houston? That's now to 3. Obviously, if you wanted to take the Browns, we could put it to 2.5. I don't think there's any way we could possibly take a side in the Commanders-Jets game. We mentioned the Seahawks in Tennessee. And then again, there's the Cardinals as well. I mean, hanging the 4 right now, and we could take that to 4.5. What do you think, Pat?
I mean, those other, I don't know, fellas. I really don't know.
Or Dolphins money line, Tyreek, baby swag ×3. I mean,
and I think
the chat was shocked to hear about the 3 babies.
Yeah,
the chat was
the one thing too with the Dolphins, and I think the blueprint was out for how you beat this defense. And I don't know if the Dolphins can be quite as physical, but we know the Dolphins can run the hell out of the ball. Mm-hmm. Like, I think we see a heavy dose of A-Chain and Mostert. Like, I could absolutely see them just running the ball down their throat. Again, can they physically run like what we saw from Cook and what we saw from the Bills O-line? Probably not, but again, it's still defending the run. So maybe we go.
Well, over in that game?
I think it's like a 50 burger, is it not?
50,
Like,
yeah, it's minus 112 at 49.5. Like, can we see 50 points in that game? I could see it, and it certainly would make it for a fun thing to be rooting for in that game if we don't have either side.
So full disclosure, I'm slowly putting together a tease, and over in that game is going to be included, but it'll be teased down. I'm not afraid of a 50 burger. I'm really not. Heck, I could 50 doesn't scare me.
Have to come back and score more. I mean, there's going to be no excuses about climate or anything like that. And I would say the same thing about Miami, especially with Tyreek back. Jake, what do you think about hitting the 50 on the over between those two teams?
I think I like the total better than a side. I think I know you're out for the Fins, but something about this game is screaming Cowboys to me, and I can't get away from it. So with that being the case, I think I definitely like the over better. That's something we can all cheer for and not have to worry about a side. We're just hoping for points, right? And I mean, if you think about it, like both these teams can score, really at will. So it's going to come down to, what the defense allows, what the defense is giving up. But, if one of these teams gets up a couple touchdowns, we've seen the Dolphins, go from down a few touchdowns to up a few touchdowns. I remember that Carolina game. I think they were down 14-0 in a blink of an eye, and then they were up 28-14 in another.
How about the last 3 minutes of the Tennessee game?
Yeah, exactly. So I think the Dolphins have been prone to give it up. I think they've been prone to put them on the board too. So yeah, I absolutely get on board with the over. I think I'd be more worried about a side than I would be with that total.
Okay, so if we do this, what do you guys think of this? Minnesota plus 3.5, Broncos minus 6.5, over 49.5 in the Dallas-Miami game. That's a December 24th Christmas Eve special. It's plus 579, so we're probably looking at plus 625 or something like that once the guys get their hands on it.
I'm in with that. That works for me. That works for me, fellas.
Yep.
So I don't have a number obviously yet, but I would just quickly cooking. Patty G's tea is going to come back for Christmas weekend.
The people are asking for it. it.
Over 43.5 Cowboys Fins. Chiefs minus 3.5. They got to bounce back, right? Like I think they cover the number there. I really do. This seems like Mahomes shuts everyone up and says we're still a damn good football team. And I think the defense steps up big as well. So, but still, tease it down to minus 3.5, and then you'll have to wait till Christmas for Santa to give you this winner, for Greggy Claus to give you this winner. Ravens plus 11.5. Jake, I don't know if you have that stat handy, but Lamar Jackson, the Ravens as underdogs, they just cover spreads. That's all they do. And the fact that I get to tease it up to 11, like, yes, the 49ers by far to this point are the best team in the National Football League. I just don't see them blowing out double digits, the Ravens here in this spot. I really don't.
I've got it.
Lay it on me.
The Ravens are 19-3-1 against the spread in their last 23 games as an underdog. Is that
good?
It's a good number.
That's really nice.
And that's just the number that Vegas.
Yeah, you're getting 6 more points.
I'm getting 6 more points, fellas.
And
it's a no-brainer to me.
People hate to say it, 11 points to me is a football number. I mean, that's 8-3.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to see what the number is there. Maybe I might throw in another money line somewhere if we need to get a better number, but those 3 will certainly be in the tees, and we'll see what that number is. Take a look at the exclusive tab a little later. That will be up, no doubt.
Okay. Listen, that you were trying to put a lump of coal in my Christmas Day stocking for the people. I stare down that Ravens stat and I don't even blink, because the Niners are going to be finishing up the 3-gamer ride with us in a sleigh down the chimney parlay. You're starting it off with the Chiefs. The Raiders may have a turkey, but it will not be at the expense of Kansas City. That game's at 10 right now. We're going to take the Chiefs to 9.5, just so it's an odd number.
Mm-hmm.
We will take the Niners at -4.5. It's on 5 right now. And we will serve a little Italian in the afternoon. Plus 12.5. Plus 12.5 for the Giants. Divisional game. Philly's broken. Listen, I've got heavy investment in Hurts and Brown for fantasy, so I would love to see them run away with this game. I don't trust them at all. I think it's just going to take 10 points or something like that, probably 10, 13 points for the Giants to cover this 12.5-point spread. So I'll be taking the Giants on the side.
Just as you were saying that, like literally like maybe 4 or 5 seconds before you got that in, the line's actually now moved to 13. So I don't know if you want to get, you can get it -13.5 or sorry, plus 13.5 at -112. It's still a really good number.
So we've got Giants in at plus 13.5 at -112. We've got the Chiefs at 9.5 at -14. And -114 for the Ravens, or sorry, for the Niners at -4.5 plus 567. So that'll end up being a 6-1 gift from me to the lock shop. Love those plays, and I will be in on them. And Pat, here's to the Niners winning by 10.
There we go.
Your
Perfect.
come through. That's why we have this nice little window. I'll tell you what, I've been threading a few needles lately, both in bets and in fantasy. So hopefully we can keep it going.
Yeah, that's fair. I was going to ask for a Christmas Day truce. So as long as we keep it inside both those numbers there, I'm okay with that. I am more than happy. You know, Christmas, it's about peace and family, friends, good tidings, like I said.
And football.
And football. And football.
Now football. Yes.
Oh, it is going to be great. So listen, we will get the Christmas Eve, like our partner parlay up is going to be for the December 24th games. I'm going to have my ride with Huss for Christmas Day with the Chiefs at 9.5, the Niners laying 4.5, and the Giants getting 13.5. And we'll look forward to the official Patty G's tease also in the Lock Shop partner parlay to go with Dusty's exclusive that's up right now. And it is the Ride with Dusty, Road Dog, Colts, Lions, Jags, Broncos, all to win. That one's 8-1. And oh, look, we've already got the partner parlay up for tonight. Plus 550. Cooper Kupp, 72 or more receiving yards. Alvin Kamara, 34 or more receiving yards. And the Rams, -3.5 tonight. Guys, this has been a banger. And it's going to be an incredible Christmas weekend. I guess this is our last show of 2023.
I guess so.
Because the guys are off next week. Well, we can throw out some content on the Twitter feeds at Hustlerama, at Pete Greggy, at Jake Bullen Moss. Follow at Coolbet Canada and at Lock Shop Bets. We'll throw some things. I know you guys will be firing out some college bowl games as well, which I will be getting on, and we'll pay attention to the exclusives. But in the meantime, great year. Here's to a wonderful 2024. Pat, I know you're going away for a bit. Have a great trip. And
thank you.
Let's get a little extra jingle for the crew with a couple more bangers for 2023. Guys, have an awesome holiday, and let's get it this weekend.
You too.
Absolutely. And for everyone in the nasty chat, for everyone at EST, WST, on behalf of Coolbet, we want to thank you guys for being proud supporters of Coolbet. You guys are awesome. We love the community feel that we've built here with you guys. And, the exclusives was a project that Jake, myself, and the entire Coolbet team took on this year. And it was an absolute smashing success in 2023. So this all couldn't happen without you guys. So we want to thank you. Thanks for making this a great 2023 and big and better things in 2024. Have a very Merry Christmas and happy holidays to everyone.
Good stuff. And all the gang in the chat, all the best to all of you. And the chat was a huge part of some recent wins. So we're going to keep that going. But again, hit me up anytime on Twitter throughout the holidays at Hustlerama if you want to talk about the games coming up. Check the exclusives throughout as well. We'll have more options up, and we'll be back when Dusty's back and the EST crew's back in the new year with regularly scheduled Lock Shop programming. For Jake Boland-Moss, for Pat Gregoire, I'm Andrew Patterson. Merry Christmas, everybody, and good luck this weekend in the Lock Shop.